for the beautiful ladies for the first time debuting New York City on two girls from La República Dominicana. Wows, wows, wows.
Signatura.
Yeah, let's hear it for Jesse.
Hey everyone, this is Diamond Rivera of the Live Discussions with Diamond podcast, coming to you from New York City. And tonight we have a special guest. But before we get started, this episode is sponsored by ThuBachataRadio.com, where you can listen to this interview in high quality. As well, we will be available on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts, and other streaming platforms. And also, everyone get ready. This October, we're heading to the Dallas Bachata Festival located at the Sheraton in Dallas, Fort Worth. Please, people, book your hotels right now. Artists lineups will be coming soon. As well, people, they'll be having their amazing Halloween parties all night, workshops, performances, and so much more. And today, people, we have a gentleman here that, for me, I have seen his growth over the years. We've grown up in the same scene. I've actually looked up to him for many years. Him growing out in New Jersey, me in New York, our paths across for many years. Seeing him going from a salsero to a bachatero, but most of all, an amazing family man and director of Step Out Dance Studio. We have here the amazing Jesse Yip.
What's up?
What's up, my brother?
Thank you for the introduction, man. It's a pleasure to be here to share my story. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, man. I mean, like I said before, our paths have crossed many times. We've been to the same socials, even performed on the same stages, even me having the opportunity to film you myself And man, Jesse, just your overall experience and your journey is definitely why we had to have you here on the platform tonight.
Thank you so much again. Yeah, last time we saw each other was in Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas Bachata Festival 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, when I saw your performance, I just had to stop and stare because for me too, it's see so many performances over the years, but also too, what I love, what separates many artists is really the connection that you have with your partner, the connection that you have with the music, and also again, shameless plug, you're representing the tri-state area,
yes,
so
sir.
we gotta give you much love here, and Jesse as well. While we're having the interview, we'll be having some comments coming in as well. So big shout out right now to Daniel Collins saying that video saw musicality
Daniel
point, as well as Nadia.
Yeah,
definitely. And man, honestly, Jesse, like I've talked to you before, having this platform is so important for me because having the opportunity to have artists share their stories from their own accord without someone else kind of telling their story for them or their stories and journeys getting lost over time. I mean, this is why I have this platform, because artists like yourself that have put in the work for so many years, that, turned from just novice dancers to studio owners, and making that transition is amazing and awesome to hear. And as well, here we got some, I would say, really royalty in salsa. My man, Mike Movimiento Garcia.
Mike. Always giving me love, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. And, for me, Jesse, as I do with all of my guests, I always ask this initial introductory question and understanding, because a lot of times everybody just sees us as artists on stage. They see what we do. They love what we do. They take our classes. They watch our videos. But a lot of times they don't really know who we are, or even know that we have a life outside of dance. So my first question is as I always do, is taking it back, way back, and asking, the initial question is, Jesse, who is Jesse before dance?
Wow. That might be a long one. We might need another episode for that one. But all right, so I was born in Elizabeth, with 2 brothers and a sister, my mom and dad. I actually was the reason why they got their residency. So growing up, I looked up to my brothers and sisters, and I actually went through a lot of different changes. So I was into skateboarding, I was into drawing, and actually, when I was maybe about 10 years old, that's when I first started performing in front of my family events. But you're gonna laugh. I was first into Village People.
Okay, I ain't gonna laugh. I respect it, because I gotta tell you, I do respect it. I mean, the songs, when I got older, I understood, like, oh, this is what it was about. But no.
And then transitioning to Menudo.
Okay, I mean, that kind of it seems obtainable. It seems reasonable.
Okay, I used to study their moves. I used to sing and dance with my cousins, always doing shows. And actually, my mom always thought I was going to be a Menudo, but obviously didn't. From there, let's see, skateboarding. Then I got into vehicles, like hooking up cars. I went to school for auto collision and mechanics, and then tried that out. Didn't work out. Then worked for Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield. I was a trainer for many, many years. Actually, that's where the salsa actually started.
Wow. I mean, just seeing kind of that trajectory and realizing there's those moments that kind of the dance or the art form kind of falls into your lap. So what was that initial moment like? How did that happen?
All right. So I was interested into this in this girl, and she already knew how to dance. I didn't know the difference between merengue, salsa. I would think Victor Manuel was merengue. I didn't know anything. Okay? So she took me to a class for the first time, and shortly after, we actually worked together. Shortly after, she got a job in the Secret Service.
Wow.
Yes. So she had to move to DC. And I used to see her after work every day. I would drive 5 hours to go see her.
Wow, that's
Okay.
dedication. Dedication.
So after a while, I was like, let me do something nice for her. I don't know how to dance. She already knows how to dance. And actually, we went to this Mexican place in Secaucus. I think it's called Chevy's or Chichi's.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I saw Grisel Ponce. And I'm not sure who her partner was at the time, but they were dancing. And she was like, I want to dance like that. All right. So my big surprise would be while she was gone, I was going to start taking classes. So my older sister, I said, look, I said, I want to learn how to dance salsa. So we went up to Millennium. This is 2001.
Ooh.
We went to Club Millennium in Jersey City, where Ismael Otero and Yesenia Peralta were teaching. We went there once. After that class, we fell in love. My sister said, we're going to go every week. That was the last time I saw her take that class. Next time my sister took class was many years later with me. I was teaching her. Oh, what's up, Josh? Josue Torres. Yeah, Caribbean Soul.
Man, see, now you see the flashbacks are just hitting. And like you said, it's very important. What many people don't know in Jersey, especially me, I was lucky enough to know at a young age in Jersey when Caribbean Soul hit with Grisel, with Yesenia, with Ishmael, and the whole collective of artists that came within that, realizing they really changed the game in terms of the salsa dancing. Because before there was kind of a uniform structure on how things ran, but now as you're getting into the 2000s, times evolve, artists evolve, the art
Absolutely.
form evolves, and I mean that's awesome to have your first teachers, official teachers, actually be Ishmael and Yesenia.
Yes. Actually, from there, a lot of in my generation, we had a lot of dancers, not including like Grisel, but we have a lot of dancers like Elvis Reese, who has his own studio, Arma Montuno. We have Gio, that is now a DJ. We have a lot of people that spawn, like Jamie, Josue. He had his own studio, Jay Bonilla. Actually, I used to teach there. Thank you to him. But yeah, we have so many talented artists that, stem from the Caribbean Soul tribe.
And so initially you're taking these classes, like you said, your sister started, but kind of faltered afterwards. My question to you is, what were those initial moments like, in those classes with them at the time? Was it kind of a easier process, or was it more gradual along the way?
It was gradual, but it's the actual students that were there that made it so much more worth it. They were very inviting. After that class, we would go every day of the week. We'd be after work. We'd go and meet. This is back in the Copacabana Tuesday nights, Latin quarters. Every day there was a place to go. To the point where Ismael actually would tell me, "Look, you got to go home and sleep before you go to work the next day."
Oh my God!
Yeah, good times. Definitely good times.
And so now, you've taken your classes, you're getting more acclimated, you're learning. Did that moment kind of happen of this girl coming back and you revisiting each other and having that magic moment in a sense?
Yeah. So it didn't work out. I was heartbroken. The distance kind of tore us apart.
Yeah.
But I kept on dancing. Funny thing is that several years later, she reached out to me and we had breakfast together. And at that point, I showed her a video of me performing, and guess who was alongside? Grisel Ponce. So we were doing the live music routine. There were the instruments, and Grisel Ponce was there, and so was I. We were on the same team dancing, and it circled back. We saw her, and that's the reason I started dancing, seeing that Grisel dance that actually made me want to dance better and take classes to surprise the girl. It didn't work out. And several years later, what happens? I'm on the same team as Grisel Ponce.
Wow. So you're talking about Caribbean soul.
Yeah.
Wow. See, and now it makes sense because when you just said the music, the routine with the live instruments, I remember that routine because I remember the performance in Canada.
Yes.
Remember? I think that was 2003, if I'm not
I was actually looking for that video.
I saw that video. I had it somewhere years ago. I remember it was, and that routine for me in Caribbean Soul was amazing because that's the example of taking it to the next level. Yep. If people don't understand what I'm saying, there was a routine that the costume was, I think, was made into like pianos and guitars.
Right.
Yeah. And now I'm like, wait, now when I'm saying like, I remember you from somewhere, not just I've seen you recently, but from somewhere way back, and now it all comes full circle. I mean, to be in Caribbean Soul, for many people who don't know, like yourself, I mean, not like yourself, like others, what were those experiences like in the early 2000s of being in a group like that, and kind of now you went from just learning to actually traveling and performing?
Yeah, it was definitely a great experience. Again, it's the people that are the dancers that we always connected. It was more like a family, and actually that's part of the reason why I bring that to my teams moving forward. It's that same atmosphere. Ismael always pushing me. I always remember after class I would create a turn pattern. I would show him. I'd be like, "Look, Ismael, look what I did." First thing he would do, he'd be like, "Go to Jamie. See if it's leadable." So he'd have me try it out. So he kept on pushing me.
Man, and people who don't know, like Ismael Otero, for me, is not just, as they call him, the legend, but he's a true mentor, because he's a person that honestly, he revolutionized the partner work aspect of salsa dancing, especially in the tri-state, but I think honestly globally. Him alongside as well Super Mario. But on the actual state side, Ismael has really revolutionized how we look at music, how we look at the choreography aspect, how adding different things in, especially with his partner work. He really is the million moves man, and definitely got to give it up to him and all of his amazing conversations. But I love about Ismael is that he's honest and he's straightforward.
Yep.
He's going to tell you.
Funny thing is that even now, when I create a routine, I always send it to him and get his feedback, because it matters. You know, I always, right before we debut it or anything, definitely do that and take his words very, to the point, and whatever he says is golden to me. So I thank him for that.
Absolutely. And we have here Marlena saying you have that video of that routine on a CD in your documents collection.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, there you go. She's got you. So now my next question is, and this is, like you said, around the early 2000s and going forward. So you really have that understanding, like myself, of when we tell people it was different back then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a different world, pre-social media, pre-cell phones, recording videos and performances and shows, when you actually had to go to the event to see the show. And then if you wanted the DVD, you have to buy it or wait a few weeks for it to get in the mail. I mean, this was a process. This is when Blu-ray DVD was like the ultimate. So my question now is, kind of going through the 2000s and with Caribbean Soul, when did that point come that you kind of transitioned out, or how did that happen?
Okay, so before I transitioned out on my own, I actually started teaching at Blue Cross Blue Shield with Joanna, which is my son's mom, and we actually created first Tumi Mambo with the dancing group called Signatura. That transitioned out as actually at the same time. And what happened is Ismael came up to me and he said, he kind of pushed me out. He said, look, he was like, the learning here has stopped. You have to go into your next journey. he actually sent me to Victor, Mayovanex, and the Charisma Dancers. So the next stage was there. So I was dancing with Imágenes de Charisma for many years after that. And at the same time, I started teaching on my own and developed my team, Signatura, at the same time.
Man, and people don't know Victor Charisma.
Amazing.
I tell you this, like he moves so like quietly and discreetly, because you have the figures like Tomas Correro, Osmar Perones, then you have Victor, then you have Etico, and there's certain characters in our tri-state that, you know, when you see them, you know, those are men of, like, I would say royalty in a sense, because they really, especially having studios and then really creating professional teams from that are still traveling the world, even as the times are changing. And now there's such of an influx of new teams. I mean, I remember years ago when there were very few groups and very few performing teams and companies. Then just after a few years, hundreds came.
Talking back then, like with Revelation Dancers, Razzmatazz, like all the groups. There were so many groups out there.
It's true. I mean, and it's funny too, because even Daniel here asking, what was the dance culture like back then? And I mean, I definitely have my understanding, but from you, what can you say from that?
It was very different. It wasn't, no one was competing against each other. It was just like, no one's trying to be better and no one was trying to show off. It's very like, I think it was a more humble atmosphere. Everyone intermingled with each. There was no like, everyone had their own groups, but everyone interlocked at the same time. I see some of it now, but mostly I don't.
I mean, and I can say to that question as well, me being younger and growing up in it, I would say I started at the age of 5 or 6, around 95.
Wow.
And then, so I mean, going way back, 95, 96 time. And me being younger, growing up in it, seeing how then with the addition of social media, before, like I said, when we were at events that, you know, you actually had to go there to watch the show. And if you didn't, you would have to find somebody who had the DVD, and realizing with the amount of groups that we had at one point that was small, and people also learning from one another. But also what happened was you had people that were once part of one large company now spreading out and creating their own. And over time, I realized was that what more artists started to do, and this is my personal opinion, I've said it, some people agree, some people don't. I think one of the game changers in a very good way, but also a very misconceiving way, was the Colombian dancers.
Yes.
And what I meant by that was, I remember performing at Connecticut Salsa Fest. And I remember this had to be like 2009. And I'm just, as a spectator, watching these artists perform, and I'm seeing the formulas changing. And what I mean by that was, at one point, everybody, and on my honest opinion, many people who weren't trying to be separate wanted to mirror themselves like Yamule, Santo Rico, Charisma. The list goes on. Eddie Torres Dancers. But then when people saw the Colombians, that's where the tricks, the cabaret aspect, the performance kicked in. And that was great, because it was something new, something refreshing. But on the flip side, what I think was, it took certain people out of their element and they tried to recreate something that wasn't genuine.
Yes.
They saw the imagery of the throwing the female, the follow in the air, and catching them and doing all these tricks and seeing what the audience is watching. And I'm seeing the standing ovations, but now years after, I'm seeing those same groups now attempting those same styles of tricks to gain the overall attention, but you kind of miss the point.
Right.
Because once you start doing all of these tricks, and if you don't land them correctly, it just looks off. So, you know, for me, like you said, what I loved about Caribbean Soul as well, especially back then in those days, was the creativity, but everybody was on timing. It actually was fluid and it was fun. It wasn't forced. It was something that, you know, it was something creative and something different. That's for me, my personal opinion. I think with the influx of cabaret artists, that gave people a different perspective, and then started leading salsa groups. Almost everyone's doing a trick,
Right.
So now with you, of course, going from, and as well, I see Mike here saying charisma had a look and feel that no one had back then.
Yeah.
And that is true. And that's what I mean. Individuality.
Yeah.
And for me as well, understanding, you starting out in Jersey, of course, with Ishmael and Yesenia, then transitioning, going over the charisma. Then, of course, like you said, years later, having your work with Joanna and creating Dumi Mambo and the Signatura group there. So over the years, of course, you being I would consider a salsero, but a dancer.
Mm-hmm.
But in our world of salsero, when did you notice the shift of bachata coming in?
Oh, okay. So, let me just give a couple shout outs before. So, I want to thank the transition that I went through with Caribbean Soul and also Charisma, because it actually opened doors, and I was able to also do collaborations with other teams. I danced with Aurelis Beato.
Yes.
Tropical Image Dancers. Big shout out to them. Also, Mike Rodriguez, Latin Reflections.
Yeah.
We've collaborated back then. We've done a routine before together, and we still, we're working together again. Big shout out to them. So let me see when. I'm going to say like 2014. I joined the Jersey Touch team, directed by Cristina Piedra. Big shout out to her, and Ricardo. That was my first bachata routine. And from there, I think I did two seasons with them, and I branched out and started doing Central bachata. Actually, just like the other Daniel's interview, that's where I actually met Daniel. Yep. So branching out there, I met Ataka and Alamana, became really good friends, and they asked us to start some of the teams. So we didn't want to bump heads with the Jersey Touch team, so we had to kind of go into a different realm, which was Kizomba. Sensual bachata was very new to New Jersey. I wasn't very familiar with the sensual style yet. So instead of me trying to teach something I didn't know, I reached out to Kevin Toff, which is from South Jersey, South Street Salsa. And he's a fabulous zouk dancer, and definitely an incredible sensual dancer. And I actually had him take the lead, and we had New Jersey Sensual Touch. And that's actually where all my bachata started.
And the reason I asked you that question is because I've noticed with a lot of artists, a lot of guests that I've had on previously, a lot of us started in salsa. But there came a point around 2013, 2014 that a lot of us noticed, some of us even previous, that the bachata scene was growing because we understood. I remember a time, and I kind of beat this like a dead horse. I remember the times when bachata was maybe played at a salsa event. Maybe at a Congress, you had a little room or they played a section, but realizing years later the impact, and now you have bachata only congresses. And and realizing a lot of the artists that I know, of course, were salseros or salseras and transitioned into bachata. Maybe intentionally or unintentionally, I noticed that trend. And sometimes you can really tell an artist when they've had that training. But for me, seeing a team in Jersey, because we understand Ataca La Mana especially was so influential in our areas because they brought bachata dancing into more of a mainstream light for us, and realizing, they were doing more of modern style. We had the traditional styles, but it was sensual bachata, in my personal opinion, that really even kind of skyrocketed because I feel, in my personal opinion, people, the attention grabber was there. That factor was there more when the leads can look how the follow moves, and it was just more. It caught people's eyes and caught people's attention more, and I think really sensual again was that part of bachata that really just influenced a whole world in a sense,
Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely.
And then, so you kind of coming from, of course, the salsa world in the early 2000s, and we're in 2013, 2014 time.
Mhm.
You're now a bachata dancer in a sense, but now being a director of that. What was those moments like of kind of now, hey, I'm not dancing salsa anymore? Was it kind of an easy transition, or were there kind of some bumps along the way?
Like I said, I didn't want to take on the being the director of it and teaching it if I didn't know it. So I actually I hired someone who led the team. I still did the directing of the team, but not the actual artistry of it. So I hired someone, and I actually got trained by them. And little by little, and I actually reached out to the people who actually did the choreography, Chavez and Sylvia from Spain. They're the ones who were the ones who choreographed the routines for Sensual Touch. So I reached out to them directly, and they took a couple privates, several privates with them. We were chatting online. So they definitely helped me grow as a sensual dancer. And one of the people that were on my team was Patrick, DJ Selfie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big shout out to DJ Selfie. I mean, one of the great bachata remix producers that I have seen and that I know personally. He's a really humble guy, a man of sometimes few words, but you always know he's there.
Definitely. Actually, we witnessed the birth of DJ Selfie at what was it? In Boston. We were at a congress, and we were trying to give him names, and that's where he was born. DJ Selfie gave him the name, and then took off from there.
Man, and that's a beautiful thing, realizing, a person going from the dancing world and now becoming, in my opinion, not just an up and coming, but he's on his way to becoming a polarizing figure in our scene for years to come, because I love the challenge of the type of music he uses and the selections that he uses, but also his collaboration with middle bass, and realizing, especially with music evolving and the art form evolving with sensual bachata, especially. What I love is that we're using a lot of the English songs and meshing it with that bachata feel, and I think that also helped spread the awareness of bachata, because it showed people you don't just have to listen to the Latin quote unquote artists. You can mesh all different types of styles. But what I do really respect too with the sensual side of bachata is, especially with dance directors like yourself that were saying, hey, I'm still getting the training in this, but actually hiring the artists that I love watching to help create a routine is even more important, and seeing that collaboration. So it's spreading that awareness from those artists that, come from places like Spain and all of the parts of the world, and now they're collaborating with the States. And I just think everything in total, the bachata scene in the mid 2010s was definitely that birth point. And again, big shout out to DJ Selfie and his start, and seeing where he's still going now. He's really an amazing artist.
Absolutely. Big shout out to him.
Absolutely. So, you performing, of course, over the years, whether it was for a team, but now actually having your own team as well, just within the Island Touch Collective. What is it like for you as a performer on that stage? I know you've done it maybe hundreds of times already, but when you're going, or right before you go on stage, what are those feelings like for you?
The nerves never go away. And I tell all my dancers, well, for me, I'm always nervous. I always feel like I'm going to throw up before I go on stage. But once I'm at that stage, it's just full concentration and enjoying the routine. I love performing. I mean, since dancing as a wannabe menudo since I was a young kid.
Man, so with you as well, still doing all types of collaborations and projects, and kind of after you're doing the work with Island Touch, and you're starting, of course, still traveling. What are some of your most memorable moments at some of your favorite congresses or festivals?
A lot of the touch events, they're probably some of my favorite ones. Miami, definitely. Tampa, great events. I think what makes it so much more enjoyable is the people that we go with. Typically, we go as a team, and it's for some of them, it's the experience because they've never been to one of these before. So just being able to enjoy that, and actually being able to have Ataka come to our room and have a shot with us, and everyone like meeting them. So here they are watching them on YouTube, and here now they come to our room and actually meet them, hug them. So it's just the experience that I give to the dancers when we go to these events. That's very rewarding for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now my last question, before I actually get into a nice little segment, is we've had COVID, of course, or we've been going through COVID, of course, still. But take me back. What was actually your last event before COVID hit?
Man. So we were planning the April before COVID hit was going to be our 5-year anniversary at Step Up Studio. It was going to be an amazing event. We were going to have Huracan there performing. We had a lot of top-notch dancers, Spirits in Motion, 3.0, so many performances lined up, and it hits, and it took that away from us. And we actually would have celebrated our 6th year last month, but unfortunately, we got to put it on hold. So hopefully we could do 7. Lucky number 7.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say definitely when I ask artists about this question a lot, when they think about that last event they were at, and that memory of not thinking about, oh, things are gonna just shut down from one day to another. And I think especially with COVID, it affecting our dance community greatly, because one thing we love doing is connecting with everyone. So now that being taken away from us was hard. And realizing too, as we've spoken as well, that I appreciate and I'm thankful that a business like yourself with Step Up Dance Studio is still around, because there've been so many artists, so many studios that are no longer working or just have stopped, and realizing we have to support and spread that love and spread that awareness of the studios that are still here and still kicking. And for me, again, I appreciate that you are still here, because as a member of our dance community for so many years, on the various stages you performed at, from the very social dances you have, I mean, your story and your journey matters. And for me, a question I have is, with now COVID and things are coming back to some type of normalcy, what do you feel is the outlook of the future of our dance community?
I feel like we should definitely not think it's over. Always be safe. Try to be as safe as possible. Don't take it for granted. There's a lot of us, take dance for granted. Take every dance as it's your last. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the people around you, your surroundings. Really treasure what we have, because we don't realize that until it's taken away. And I think COVID made us realize a lot of that.
Absolutely. I mean, I love the honesty and the transparency of how you speak about things, because again, we realize, most of us, we love dance. It's an escape for our reality sometimes. But I think also this virus and these moments that we're in have shown us how much more our families and everything else mean a lot more. And realizing we can still, even if we're coming back, do it in a much safer manner, because again, the choices that we make not only affect us, it can affect many others. So, I mean, for me, I definitely commend your approach on that and your understanding. And before we get into the segment that I called the randoms, I did want to show this last video, a video that I really admired. This goes back to, I was actually filming, not this specific video, but I was definitely in the front row at this event, the New Jersey Bachata Festival in 2016, all the way, you know, out there in the Hotel ML, I believe it was called.
I think they're gonna have a new location.
Oh yes, so now yes,
Yeah.
Yes, big shout out to the New Jersey Bachata Festival with Vladi and Mikey G,
Yes.
and definitely can't wait to see what they have coming. So everyone, before we get to the randoms, please enjoy this video of one of my favorite performances from Jesse and Alexandra. Check it out, New Jersey Bachata Festival 2016.
Casi no me despierta. Fireworks and tú dices que no, que mejor nos quedemos tranquilos. Dejando yo estoy apostando todo contigo. No digas que no, si yo sé que tú sientes lo mismo. Libérate hoy, dame un beso que no sea de amigos. Quiéreme como te quiero, empecemos de cero a dar el corazón. Quiéreme, no tengas miedo, a mí también me has lastimado sin razón. Quiéreme que soy sincero, yo nunca he amado tanto como hoy. Quiéreme, vivamos el momento.
Man, I definitely love that performance for sure. And it's funny that I'm watching this, because then I'm looking at, like, you and your partner are amazing. And before we even get to the randoms, I actually want to bring it back and help us understand really how Step Up started. How Step Up Dance Studio really started for you.
All right. So for many years I was renting out studio space at different locations: Cranford, New Jersey, Westfield, New Jersey, Garwood, New Jersey, even Linden, like at a gym I was teaching. And at the time I was working for Horizon Blue Cross as a trainer, and I got laid off. So got me thinking a lot. And my daughter's mom, Marlena, actually believed in me and said that, you know, I think it's time that you have the time now. You have the talent to be able to build out your studio. And she pushed me to do it. And we opened up Step Up Dance Studio. And actually, in that period, I was working in construction for about a year, which gave me the ability and the knowledge to actually build it out myself. So what was once a rundown old gym, we made it into Step Up Dance Studio. And the rest is history.
That's amazing. I mean, really, like you said, really working from the ground up. I mean, taking that responsibility as a studio owner, because I've realized too, many studios that have been around and many that are no longer around. I mean, we really realize a lot of times in the initial beginning, you're going to lose a lot of money. It's a lot of money you're going to be investing into your business. And one day it hopefully reaps those benefits. And realizing too in New Jersey, what I love about New Jersey, especially besides just living in New York, is the space factor.
Yes.
Realizing there's so much land in Jersey that when I hear of a new studio opening up, I know it's got to be large, a lot larger than studios in New York City. And realizing too now, as a studio owner, my question to you is, what would those moments like of really having now the community be at, you being now within the community, not just attending someone else's event, but people actually coming to your studio for events?
It was a fabulous feeling, but thankfully we have a lot of support from all the other studios nearby. Because I always made it a point, as a team, we would definitely try to support as many other studio events as we can. So they just reciprocated.
Absolutely. And definitely big shout out to Marlena for sure. Understanding, people's words of wisdom really helps, and realizing if that wouldn't have happened, what would have really happened years later from that.
Absolutely.
So, and understanding now, your work now with Alexandra,
Yes.
if I'm saying it right, hopefully I'm saying it right.
Yeah.
What were those moments like now of you kind of getting back into, or always being involved in dancing, at one point directing other people or being part of a group, but now you solely with just a partner at this point and you kind of going through the motions?
It was definitely a magical experience. Connection was there from the very beginning. We took on many different leaps into things that we weren't familiar with. Like we reached out to definitely a lot of different choreographers to bring out something different. The routine that you just saw was actually choreographed by Danny Salsita from Colombia, which is a world champion out there. He actually choreographed the routine for us, and if you see it, it's very different than what you typically see. And what he calls it is called bachata voz, because instead of that, they actually match the voices or what they're saying. So big shout out to Danny Salsita.
Absolutely. And realizing too, like you said, with the collaboration of working with other artists
Absolutely.
to create art, and realizing that I feel the same way. I think with a lot of schools, there's always been stigmas of, especially in the same vicinity, same county, even same neighborhood. There's always that conflict of maybe competition. But realizing I've always seen that when teams and companies are working along together, really for the common goal, everybody wins. I think
Absolutely.
that's really what's most important. Also, here Daniel says, also Jesse's words of wisdom were hugs for me, were huge for me in my own dance career. Always appreciated him for that. And
Thank you.
realizing too, Jesse, that over the years, from you just being a novice dancer to being a dance director, and really, in a sense, a leader within your dance community, it's really come full circle. It's also shown the guidance that you've had over the years, because I've met many dancers and their attitudes vary. And for me, I'm really big on maturity and growth and progression instead of regression.
Right.
And seeing just how far you've come is amazing. And, really hearing the story of how it all started, even before dance, how dance came into your life, how you took your first class and those experiences, to performing with the very group you loved, with the very dancer that
Right.
inspired you, Miss Grisel Ponce, and then you transitioning and still being a part of this community. It's your stories and your journey that I love, because this right here is more of documentation of when people say, hey, what was it like? Or if they have those questions, you got the answers right here. And it's not always going to be a person from New York or LA.
Right.
Jersey got some hitters. Jersey got some dances. I mean, Jersey has history. That's what I can say. Jersey has so much history, whether it's in the salsa scene, bachata scene, kizomba scene, zouk scene. New Jersey is definitely vast, and I definitely appreciate all of the artists that are in Jersey and abroad working together, as well big shout out to Miss Rosa.
That's
Yip.
my mom, my mommy.
Big shout out to Mama Love. And, realizing again is that what I appreciate you most about you, Jesse, is that you adhere to the responsibility that you have as a teacher. And it's not just about choreography. It's about the impact you leave on your students. And, I really feel like at least tonight, we've gotten a good glimpse of understanding of who you are. But I really don't feel in one interview we can get everything. But we'll definitely leave that for another time. But now it helps us transition to our last segment called the randoms, which is about 10 questions.
Oh man.
It allows me to get to know you a little better. And
first.
yes, take a little sip as well as I.
Cheers, my brother.
Cheers. Salud. And all I need to know, Jesse, is when you are ready.
I'm ready.
All right. If you could have one meal right now, what would it be?
Oh man. Bistec a lo pobre by my mom's dish.
Very good. I like that plug. I love it.
You know what it is?
I thought you was gonna go, restaurant on me, but you got to take
a big steak, fried eggs, rice, and French fries. The best.
I love it. All right. Next question is, if you could be at one dance event right now, what would it be? And wait, and I'm gonna give you a disclaimer. You can't say anything with Step Up Dance to the end.
No, I wasn't gonna go there anyway. One event. Oh man. Oh, Providence Dance Festival. Carlos Gonzalez.
Oh, absolutely, man. I definitely hope in the future I can attend. And even though I'm actually in a few years moving to Rhode Island, so I definitely look forward to that.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Oh, yes. Rhode Island is beautiful. I've been going since 2017. Carlos, Brennan Contreras, Maury, there. I mean, Providence is beautiful. I tell anyone, definitely when things are better, please definitely check out the Providence scene out there, especially Waterfire area.
Oh, yeah.
Is beautiful. All right. Next question, Jesse. So my question is to you. What is a dream vacation destination for you? When things are way more normal and you can say, hey, I can go on this one trip, where are you going to go?
I always wanted to go to Hawaii. So, but Hawaii with Alex, my kids, my family, that would be like the perfect vacation.
Nice. And nothing dance related?
Nope.
Perfect. I love it. All right. Next question is, what did 10-year-old Jesse want to be?
Whoa. Menudo. One of the menudos.
Yeah, there you go. I was going to see if it was going to sway off somewhere else, but it had to stick it to menudo. All right. Next question is, and this one I call a very spicy question. What is a huge turnoff for Jesse when they are dancing with someone at a social?
When I'm dancing with someone?
Yes. What is something your huge pet peeve with someone that's dancing with you?
I'm going to probably get a lot of hate on this, but overstyling. Overstyling.
I know what you mean. I've seen
lack of connection and overstyling.
Man. It's when you say that because the amount of overstyling, or I would say overcompensation, especially when a camera is like right there and the person just thinks, okay, now we're supposed to just go take it to another level, when if you just keep it natural, keep it genuine, everything will work. Because and I think too, what I love asking this question to not just the male but female part of the communities is that the answers not only are different, but I think it's also answers like yourself that people need to hear, because it's not always the lead's issue, even though the leads most of the time will take the blame for that and the accountability for it. I think it's also, as well as the follow, has to understand there has to be a connection with both. It can't just be one leading someone. There has to be a balance. And
same thing with the leaders. I mean, I think don't overdo it. Enjoy the song. I don't know. His mom always told me to be original, and I thank Charisma for giving me like the smoothness. I'm not a showboat type of person. When I dance, I keep it smooth, simple, and enjoyable.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Next question is, are you more of a partner work person or a footwork person?
Point of work.
Okay. I gotta respect that for sure. Next question is, what would be your superpower?
I must say that I cheated a little bit because I hear all your discussions, so I kind of was prepared for it. But it definitely is an important one. So my superpower, I would like to have the ability to bring people back to life,
Mm,
and the first person would be my dad. I would bring my dad back to life.
and that's very deep, and that when I do ask that question, I've had people tell me the same thing because it allows them to really dig deep within themselves and understand if they had something that many people don't have and have that power and that opportunity, what they would use it for. So I definitely respect that answer. My next question, I'm gonna change things up. Me, myself, I'm gonna change this up. You're at a event right now, sitting front row. The last three shows are coming. Who are they?
Oh wow. Hmm. All right, definitely Yamule. I've always been a fan of Yamule. Um, Huracan
Mm,
and George and Tanya.
I love it. I mean, and definitely, I definitely see why for sure. So big shouts out to everyone with Yamule, Huracan, with Jeff, and of course, Atakalamana. So my next and second before last question is, what is a special talent that Jesse has that no one really knows?
Some people might know, but I have a few talents. But drawing, I can draw. I'm very artistic, um, and I'm very handy.
Mm.
I could definitely build a lot. I've been building a lot during this COVID time in our new house. So both.
Man, I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, especially during this COVID time, many people have picked up different hobbies, but some people have more enhanced the things that they love doing. So definitely love that. And this last question here, I love asking. It's called the island question.
Oh man.
All right. So you probably definitely know how this goes. So you're on an island. Disclaimer: there is no Wi-Fi. Who and now I'm gonna change this up.
Wow, come on.
Yeah, 'cause, you got me. So instead of three things, you can only have three people, and you can even group the people together.
Group them.
Yes, so you can
If
say,
I say
like,
family, if I say family, I can have my whole family.
yeah, you can have your whole family. I'll give that to you. I'll give that to you.
Good, good. My brothers, my sister, my mom, my kids, and Alex, and so I have one more. I'd have to group some of my closest friends together. I think I wouldn't need anything but my family, my loved ones, and my best friends.
I love that. I love that. And again, Jesse, I appreciate you doing this segment. I love doing it because it allows myself and the audience to have some fun, but also learn a little bit more about yourself. And I definitely really appreciate it. And now it helps us transition to our conclusion of our interview tonight. And Jesse, honestly, from start to finish, even with our private conversation, having the ability to reconnect in some form of fashion, especially what we're all going through, is really meaningful. Um, Again, I'm thankful I can have a platform that allows artists like yourself to be here and share your stories from your own perspective. Because I don't want the artists that I admire and I love and their stories to fall by the wayside years from now when people ask, "Hey, I just wanted to know a little bit more about this artist." And having this platform means a lot. Having you on, and at least before we go, I'd love to know if you had any last few words for myself and the audience.
Yeah. So if to all those people, if we ever had any beef in the past, um, any person I may have hurt in the past, I want to apologize to them, kind of start fresh. We don't know what tomorrow will be like. Definitely more united world in general. And always think good. Always think good things and try to lean towards that way. And that's basically it. Unity, love, respect.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that. But also, before we do go, I'd love to know if you had any contact info or how people can reach you and learn more info about Step Up Dance Studio and also your new projects coming up.
Right now, we don't have any new projects. Actually, yes, we have quite a few, but we haven't started yet. We have a collaboration with Latin Reflections, Mike and Tanya. So we'll be working on something together. I'll be working on his team. He'll be working on mine, and we're going to start something fresh. I'm on Facebook, Jesse Yip. Instagram, same thing, Jesse Yip. Website, Step Up Dance Studio, NJ. Step Up Dance NJ on Instagram and on Facebook.
Absolutely, man. And honestly, I really thank you for coming on tonight, representing Jersey to the fullest. A person that, again, that I've seen for many years in this dance community, and even not just as a director, but as a family man, I definitely admire you. And I definitely hope in the future we can definitely all connect.
Absolutely.
And when things are much more normal, we'll all be happy once again. But I appreciate you taking your time and your effort coming to the platform tonight. It really was great. It was really great connecting with you and everyone else that's been commenting. There are some also other comments along here that you can check out after. But everyone, thank you tonight for a really special episode, a refreshing episode between myself, Diamond Rivera. Here we have Jesse Yip from Step Up Dance Studio in New Jersey. I thank you all for tuning in. This was an amazing interview. So everyone, please have a great night, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Diamond. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
God bless
Thank you, everyone.
God
Have
bless.
a good night. Stay safe.